Coming up on the HisViewZ podcast.
Will forever hold a certain place in my heart because it hurt me to a certain degree, but I also grew from it so much to another degree.
Right.
And I think that's important. I think it's important to go through those things.
I feel like every bad thing that happens is, deep as it hurts and cuts, it's also really beautiful, and we have to be appreciative of that and be grateful for the bad also, because then we're going to be able to receive the good.
Grace, thank you for coming.
Thanks for having me.
Why'd you say you were nervous? You said you were nervous?
I tend to ramble, so
do I. I talk a lot.
Yeah, I do too.
I talk way too much. I really wanted to have you on here since I started the podcast, because when I uploaded the first one, you were one of the very first and few people to make not just a comment, but a very awesome comment. And you said something on the lines of, Charlotte needs this for the art community.
Yeah, we do.
And it was that comment that changed the whole direction of this podcast.
Stop, I'm gonna cry.
So my HisViewZ brand was my boudoir and nude art brand. And the whole idea was to have the models and clients or whatever come on the podcast and talk about the shoot and do testimonials and blah blah blah. That was the idea. But having Uncle Junt on, I don't even remember how that happened. I just really wanted to get it started. Having him on kind of completely changed the narrative of it.
Right.
And when you commented that, it kind of like solidified it. Yeah. So that's why I wanted to have you on here, and I wanted to wait to tell you that till,
Am I blushing? Can you?
I can't tell because we have really good lighting. Let me make sure I'm recording. Yeah, I'm recording. So thank you for that.
Of course.
I'm going to go ahead and introduce yourself and sort of tell people what you do here in Charlotte.
I do a little bit of everything.
Like 5 things, I feel like.
Way too many. My name's Gracyn. I am an artist, a creative director. I'm a published model, a published stylist. I do a lot of different things, from consulting to shooting photo, video. I specialize in stop motion film, so shorts. And then I manage artists. I work with bands, musicians, and nonprofits. So my client list is split between the nonprofit realm and like the creative, like artistic music realm. So I get a little bit of everything.
How old are you?
I'm 27.
Wow.
I had to think about that.
And this is what you do for work? This
Full
is
time. I actually was just thinking before I came here, July 1st will be a year since I've been 100% full time.
Congratulations.
Thanks.
Isn't that a good feeling?
It's really beautiful. It's been tumultuous, ups and downs, roller coaster ride, like everybody, I feel, but it's been a lovely experience.
What did you do before you started this journey?
I was a cosmetologist for 6 years. I used to manage salons and kind of teach people about blonding and how to market themselves as a stylist. I came from entrepreneurial parents, so both my parents inherited businesses from their parents, and so I grew up helping them run. I coded my dad's website when I was in middle school. I used to do marketing for my mom's restaurant whenever I was in high school. I graphically designed, redid our logo in high school. And
wow.
I managed the business for 8 years, so I kind of came from this like business background, and then went through a really tumultuous experience my senior year with battling mental health, and just decided to dive into something that I was good at, and that was hair, and I knew that I could do it, and I did it for 6 years, and then kind of started falling more into the editorial side, and really started getting into creative direction in that space, and wanted to fulfill that, full on.
And that's your passion?
My passion is making other people feel good about themselves.
Wow. Say that
helping other
again.
people.
Say that again. Your
My
passion
passion
is what?
is making other people feel good about themselves.
And you found that through creative direction.
Through all of my different facets, truly.
I'm just calling it creative direction because I don't have a title for everything that you just listed.
And that's kind of what I call myself too. My parents are like, what does that mean? And I'm like, I don't even know.
Yeah. Out of all of those things that you listed, what do you find yourself leaning more towards? What do you enjoy the most out of everything? Because that's, even though they're all under the same, I guess, umbrella, they're very different in their own ways. Like creative directing for a video shoot and then actually shooting the video are two different things. So like what out of all those things, what do you enjoy the most? I'll give you top three.
Okay, top three. I love branding and marketing because I feel like it really conveys a message. It helps. Branding creates the message, marketing presents the message. And so I love being able to cohesively take something where someone's like, I have this dream, and I call it taking other people's bright ideas and turning constellations out of them. So like turning them into stars and creating, these constellations of bright ideas, where people have, these thoughts and these visions and these dreams, and they're like, I don't know how to convey this. And I'm like, I got you.
Wow. That's beautiful.
So
do you have a name for this?
It's all under a creative agency called Orate and Company. So Orate is the golden essence. So
are you affiliated with like the ownership of the company, or are you just a part of the company?
I'm the owner.
Ooh, very awesome.
Yeah.
Who else do you have under that company? Like, do you have
just me, but I sub
you contract other people out?
Yes, I subcontract out. Yeah.
You do so many different things. And I feel like when I started my photography career, it was just hard enough for me to learn photography, book photo shoots, edit the photos, create new themes for new photo shoots. But you're kind of like on the whole spectrum of things. So I guess my question, I'm going to take that one back. I guess my question is, how do you drive all of that? How do you organize yourself with all of that? Do you have people helping you?
Late nights. I'm sorry?
Do you have people helping you?
No, I do it all on my own.
Wow.
So I did, and then I had someone helping me, and they lost me my two biggest clients, and so I was like, I'm going to remove that. And then it was literally directly after that I discovered ChatGPT, and like honestly, that changed my entire life.
I think everybody.
I love AI. Be nice to your AI.
Yeah.
But yeah, I kind of just have to time block a lot. So I spend a lot of my time, like I'll batch edit. So I'll edit all of my photos at once, break them in, and then I have to take a break. And then my mornings are typically spent doing like my social media management. So I run multiple social media accounts for nonprofits and then my musician clients. So I manage the band Late Night Special. And
Fred.
Yeah, Fred.
Just had breakfast with him the other day.
I know.
Yeah.
Besties over here.
Yeah.
So I do their social media and all of their shoots and everything. We're going back on tour in the fall for the Nightlife, so that's going to be really fun.
I should be joining.
I hope.
Yeah, I'll be
it's
joining.
It's going to be a blast.
So you had hired someone, and they unfortunately were the cause of you not keeping some key clients.
True.
So has that made you, like, I don't know, a little paranoid to hire more help or delegate things?
I think that in parallel to experiences that I've had with people in general within business has made me, I feel like I don't trust people in business anymore. I'm like,
You shouldn't.
Yeah. But I've definitely gotten to the point now where I'm like, I know what I can do, and I know my limits and my boundaries, and I know what I'm capable of. So I'm going to push myself to the highest capacity possible so that I can truly succeed in my own. And then by that time, start hiring in. I feel like people out of college deserve, shots right now because the industry is really hard, especially, kind of with what we're doing. Like, it's difficult to get into and at least like make a name for yourself without having, a long list of, clients with other names built behind them. So
I will say this. So this is my 5th year of doing what I'm doing, and it's transitioned from photography to freelance photography to freelance videography to fast forward now to doing commercial work mostly. Most of that time I did it by myself, because whenever I let someone in, it didn't really end very well. So there was people that I would let in, and they would just kind of copy and paste what I was doing and try to do their own thing with that.
oh my gosh.
There's this people that they don't share the same vision or the same drive. There's people that just want to make a quick buck. So I had to go through a lot of individuals to fine tune a team, very small team, but a good team. So I have someone who I go to for business consultation. And now I have 2 people that are going to be helping me with video editing and all that stuff, but it's taken this long to find that. So I truly believe if you're headed down the right journey, the right people are going to come into your
absolutely
life sooner or later. So I know how it feels. It's devastating.
It's
like
icky. Like to put your trust in someone, and then like I feel like for me, this past year has been spent learning to trust myself and like my intuition, and like not just like blindly trusting people, because I expect other people to be as kind-hearted and like good-natured as I am. Like I wear these rose-colored glasses and think that other people are just as kind as I am. And I've had multiple people take concepts that I've created and been like, hey, like I think you could be a good person for this, and take the exact same concept and like do it like the same thing, but like in their own way, which would have never lived up to like my expectations of it, of course.
Right.
However, they did it in their own way, and I'm not going to go and do something, even though I created the idea and it was born within me, I'm not going to go do something that someone else has done now.
I'm the same way. I'm I can't do anything about how I was raised. I can't do anything about who I am. I was raised to be a very humble, selfless, kind-hearted person, and I brought that into the business that I'm in, and got backstabbed by individuals that I'd never thought I would get backstabbed by. It's an ugly feeling, but I never really let it change who I am. I just kind of put a very fancy armor over it, and I've developed skills to interpret people, study people, figure out what they really want. I can tell if, I know this sounds so bad, but I can tell if somebody's going to be able to afford my services or not just by talking to them without even going over rates, just by verbiage, body language, or how they send a message or email. I can tell like what the intention is of someone. If like, hey, can I go and shoot behind the scenes for you? Why do you want to go shoot behind the scenes for me? Do you want to see how I do it? Do you want to see what I do? You want to learn from me for free? You want to take what I have built and what I have taught myself over the last 5 years to your advantage, just so you can go do your own thing. So you learn how to filter those people. It does take time. It does take time to learn, but you will. You
Totally.
get it. Yeah.
I have a funny story actually. So I creative directed this like fashion shoot for the streetwear brand in Charlotte, and they brought in a couple of like their friends to like photograph. They were like, oh, they're gonna just get behind the scenes. Well, they started like taking their own pictures and like taking the models and like going and doing like other things, and like they ended up like posting all of those photos versus like mine. And then they're like, well, we're not paying for this because we already got free ones from them. And I'm like, this is exactly why I don't let outside people shoot with me.
Did you have a contract with them?
No.
I bleed contracts. Not like I.
Yes.
Like.
That was like back whenever I first like went independent last year, and after that I'm just like, nope, I'm good.
Yeah, it's a learning experience.
Totally.
It really is a learning experience. I shot my dream, what I thought it was going to be my dream project last year. And I took the project on for growth, for personal reasons, to finally do something that I would enjoy doing.
Mm-hmm.
And it almost broke me, but it was probably the biggest learning experience I've had to date. And I'm actually making a YouTube video on it. And I told myself, you know, if I had to do it all over again, I would, because the lessons that I learned and the things I learned about myself and the things I learned about my business, you know, stupid things like my contracts were not cast iron. They were, there was little holes in it. The verbiage was wrong. You know, I was essentially, I don't want to say taken advantage of, because I was essentially compensated, but I was, you know, not treated the way I wanted to. But that's because of the expectations that I gave them. I gave these clients the expectation that I'll do whatever the fuck they want, and it won't hurt me or my time or my business or whatever else I have going on personally. And that's just not the case. So that project will forever hold a certain place in my heart, because it hurt me to a certain degree, but I also grew from it so much to another degree.
Right.
And I think that's important. I think it's important to go through those things.
I agree. I think I talk about this a lot, but without the rain, we wouldn't be appreciative for sun. Without the dark, we wouldn't be appreciative for light. It's like yin and yang are a real thing, and people think it's like, oh, good and bad, but it's not. Like, it's gratitude, and gratitude is the currency of the universe. Like, when you're putting out like gracious energy, when you're grateful for everything, bad and good, because without the bad, you wouldn't be as understanding of what the good means to you and how good it really is. And so I feel like every bad thing that happens, is, you know, deep as it hurts and cuts, it's also really beautiful, and we have to be appreciative of that and be grateful for the bad also, because then we're going to be able to receive the good. What do
you do for, you're essentially an entrepreneur, business owner. So, and I like that you said time blocking, because I recently started doing that, and it's been amazing.
Truly.
But what do you do for yourself? Like, how do you handle the mental health side of things? Because this, you know, excuse my language, but this shit gets very, very real.
I think there was like 2 weeks, like last month, where I didn't leave my house. I call it my cave. Like, that's my office. It's like my cave. So actually, one of the nonprofits that I work for in Charlotte is Habitual Roots, and they're centered around mental and emotional wellness. And
cool.
So they provide resources. We have men's and women's groups. We have yoga. We do healing hikes. So we go out in nature, and it's guided meditation. I taught an art class through them.
Oh, cool.
So it's a really great community for feeling everything that you need to feel, whether it's good, whether it's bad. They're open to hearing about it, and they're also open to like helping you through it. So that's been a huge help for me. Going to yoga, I go to Giddy Go yoga every Wednesday at 7 a.m.
I love their food and coffee.
Oh my God, their empanadas is
yeah, man,
so good.
Hit the spot.
Yeah. Especially being vegan, it's so hard to find like good vegan food, and especially
you're vegan.
I've been vegan
cool.
for 4 years.
Cool.
Yeah. So it's hard to find vegan taste at coffee shops a lot of times, and for them to have like delicious empanadas, they're so yummy. But yeah, yoga's been a huge benefit for me, my dog, and then painting, like creating art. That's a huge release for me, especially for my mental health.
You also paint.
Wow.
Wow.
I'm working on a new collection right now.
Very cool.
Yeah, it's a statement on gratitude and sustainability. So it's all recycled materials.
Do you have anyone that you look up to as far as like mentoring? Do you like when there's always somebody that when stuff gets real that you go to? Do you have one of those? Do you have a mentor, or when stuff like that happens, do you kind of figure it out
Like
on your
when
own?
shit hits the fan?
Mm-hmm.
It's just me.
Just you?
Just me.
Are you only child?
No, I'm the oldest of 4 girls.
Oh, where's everybody else? Where's all the other girls at?
My sister actually just recently moved to New York, and then my other
Good
two.
for her.
Oh my gosh, I love that for her. Honestly,
Yeah, I love New York.
because we were up there at the same time.
I didn't get to go.
Oh, you didn't get to go?
No, but I'm
I
going.
almost didn't get to go either.
Yeah, I'm going in August.
Okay.
New York is. We'll get into it, but New York is one of my favorite places.
Yeah, same. A lot of people don't like it, and there's definitely parts of it that I can understand that are not likable, but I think there's also, like we said, just like there's some really beautiful parts of it.
Well, the thing is, I went to New York a few months ago.
Mm-hmm.
No, it's been longer than that. I think it was at the beginning of the year.
Mm-hmm.
And it was the first time I've gone to New York. Like, I've gone to New York to work and do weddings and stuff like that, but this was the first time I went to New York and just to go.
Really?
And just collab with people. And, I did have a business meeting, but that was like 10% of the trip.
Right.
And I found it very interesting, like the way it made me feel.
Mm-hmm.
New York, people talk about it like everybody's mean and blah, blah, blah. That's really not the case. Here's what happens with New York. The people that live in New York are so busy. A lot of them have 2 or 3 jobs that they're just like go, go, go. And they just don't really have their time
love
is
the
valuable.
pace.
Yeah, it's very fast paced.
Yeah.
What I also found is the sense of community there, especially with like what we do.
Mm-hmm.
So here in Charlotte, North Carolina, when I tell people I'm a photographer or videographer, they're like, "Oh, good for you. How's that going for you?" Or, "Oh, cool. Let me see your work." Or, "Oh, what do you shoot with?" Or, "Yeah, I do that too." And that's kind of where it is.
Yeah.
Up there, oh, what? I need to get you in touch with this person.
Yes.
Because this person needs this.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, you would do so well here because blah, 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 blah. And this, and that. And, your work is amazing. You would do so well here. You should be here. It's a huge difference.
Yeah.
And they're very supportive of like what you do and who you are. So it really opened my eyes, sense of community here.
Yeah.
And it kind of brought me back to what you said about my first episode, that Charlotte really needs this. And I didn't truly understand. I got what you were saying, but I didn't truly understand it. It took me
A little
this
bit.
long to really understand it. But I kind of wanted to ask you about that. What do you think of the community here as far as like the art community goes?
I think that there's a lot of really, really beautiful people. I think there's a lot of really beautiful people trying to make shit shake.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't think that people are grabbing onto it. Good friend of mine, Michaela Benter, she's over the social media over at Charlotte's Creative. She is one of the most die-hard, creative, uplifting, like push people to get involved in the community that I've ever met in Charlotte. And we need like 400 of her, because really everybody is in their own little cliques. And then when they collaborate, it's for the benefit of themselves. It's not for the benefit of like, what can this do for others? And so I feel like we don't have a lot of, or at least if there are people out here doing things, it's not being talked about as much. Because we'll post about it and then we're like, all right, on to the next thing. And like a lot of people don't share other people's work. Like I might even be bad at that sometimes, where like I manage multiple accounts and sometimes I lose it in the feed. Like sometimes I don't see other people's stuff to share. Like I would prefer people be like, yo, send me this. Please share it if you can, kind of thing. And me throw it up on my story, because I want to support the creative community. But I feel like a lot of it is trying to get their name out there, and not a positive way, but more so for like clout, which I'm not like a fan of.
Right. No, I agree. Even and I agree. There's a lot of talent here, but there's also a lot of talented selfishness here. So, you know, it's a lot of look at me, look at me, look at me. And you're right about the sharing other people's work. A lot of the creators that I follow, like in California, New York, I follow a lot of creators in New York. I constantly see them sharing other people's work.
Yeah.
All the time.
Yeah.
I don't really see that here. Now that you notice it, and it could be a very discouraging thing as a creative here in Charlotte. But I'm the type of person that I thrive on competition. So I always look at it as I've always been like a workaholic. So I always look at it as a competition, but with myself. And I truly believe that's why I've gotten as far as I've gotten. It's because I am constantly in this like competitive state of mind.
Have you ever taken your human design?
No, I don't even know what that is.
So it's basically like your birth chart. Have you ever done a birth chart like for astrology?
No. You know why? Because I don't know what time I was born.
Well, it's not 100% necessary.
Okay.
But for the timeline,
people I've talked to, they're like, you need to know this.
You don't have to. It's not, I mean, it's best.
Okay.
But it's not 100% necessary. But basically, human design takes the same concept, but it breaks it down to tell you like what type of person you are. And there's like manifestors, there's blah 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 blah. But I'm a generator, so I'm someone that generates the energy and like gets people hyped up. And like you were talking about being a workaholic and like you love competition, like being in competition with yourself. I'm a workaholic also, but I love collaboration. Like I don't like feeling like I'm at ends and odds with people. Like I need to feel like we're on the same page, like doing the same stuff. Like I want to pass the baton to you, and that's why I think I've been burned in business so many times.
I think I would love to be that way. I think I'm this way because of the community that we're in.
Yeah, I agree.
Because it
forces people.
It's made me be that way. It's made me. I mean, just this past year, I had to kind of say no to a lot of creative work just to find some financial structure, and I switched to commercial work. But why? Because it's made me that way. And then I look at other creators that are doing stuff that I would love to be doing, right? Not that I don't like what I do now, because I'm so blessed and I have the most amazing clients. I mean, Bokao Sushi, they're one of my clients.
Oh, awesome!
And I get to
best sushi in town. Honestly.
Dude, I get to the food, the nightlife, the backstory of it. I get to document all of that.
Right.
You know, I have really cool clients, but there's a lot of stuff that I wish I could be doing, like, you know, travel documentaries and making short films, and, you know, I've never gotten a chance to dab into like making fashion films. I've never gotten into like, you know, truly gotten into like automotive and motorcycles, which is what I love.
Yeah.
You know, there's just so much. I love telling people stories, and I haven't gotten to do that because I'm like, all right, I have to really focus and hone in on making money. So I can.
Well, this is just like my advice, and this is where time blocking can come in handy. If you
absolutely.
take like a weekend a month, and like one weekend out of the month you focus on like one creative project you want to do, maybe like one weekend you do cars, one weekend you do fashion, and those be the creative projects where you're not looking and expecting, because basically expectations just hold unrealistic levels for people to hit.
Absolutely.
That leave you feeling worthless or like without.
Absolutely.
So if you go into it without the expectation of, you know, this isn't for money, this is for me to release creatively and also be able to build your portfolio in those spaces so that you can receive paid work for that stuff.
Absolutely. I 110% agree with you. So going back to the time blocking, I recently started doing that. And so my Sundays and Mondays are now dedicated to me. So if I want to take
Those
time
are my
off,
days too.
yeah. So if I want to take time off this week, I didn't get to do that, but it's okay. I get to either take time off or focus on something that I want to do. So I really want to hone in on my filmmaking skills and my storytelling skills. So I'm focusing on YouTube versus making short form content all the time. I have found a good bit of success on there already, and I kind of put it to the side to kind of get my business going. And now that I recently started this time blocking thing, that's exactly what I'm doing. So every Sunday or Monday, I'm focusing on something. So the podcasting, I like the podcasting because it's an old school way of just sitting down and having a conversation with another like-minded individual. Because why? We're doing this all day with our phones. We're not interacting anymore.
Right.
Like from person to person. Hell, a lot of people don't even like to pick up the phone and have a phone call.
Well, I have a rule about that. So I call it the 40-60-80 rule. And so basically right now, like we're giving 100% of our energy to one another through this conversation, right? We're tangible, we're in real life, we're in real time, we're talking, you know, visible, all of that. So when you're texting, you're putting 100% of your energy into that conversation via text message. The phone is going to take 60% of that, and the person's only going to receive 40% of that energy.
Interesting.
And then whenever you're doing it via voice, so like phone call, voice memo, you're putting 100%. They're getting 60 because now they can hear your voice. So, you know, they're going to the phone's taking 40%, they're receiving 60%. FaceTime, 80%. You know, the phone's taking 20%. You're still not tangible. You're not able to connect like in real time. So the phone's going to take 20%. They're getting 80% of your energy. So as you're diluting your energy, giving 100%, whenever you're on the phone or receiving a text message, you're only getting, you know, 40, 60, 80% of that back. So you're missing 60%. 40%, 20% of that energy that you just put out. So we're left feeling like a little bit emptier every single time. It's just chipping away at us every single time. So like the in real life experiences that we have with people really truly matter. And we're spending so much time like into our phones, into our computers, into our tablets that we're not going out and connecting with people or with nature or with ourselves.
I feel like, you know, as much as I utilize social media, I mean, I basically built my business on Instagram. As much as I utilize it, I think it's also like, you know, double-edged sword. It's like the main reason a lot of things are happening. Like a lot of people are having social anxiety. A lot of people are having dating issues. You know, a lot of people are losing their skills as far as like just having a normal conversation. Or I'll even go as far as saying, you know, if you start a conversation with somebody in public with a stranger, they find that weird now.
Right.
And you know, I'm not even going to get into like, I honestly believe that social media is just a highlight reel where people are just posting like the good shit.
I mean, I try to be very intentional. I think like being a mental health advocate, like advocating for things that I care about. You know, I'm a humanitarian. I love working with nonprofits and trying to make a difference and serving the community. So like I try to utilize social media in a way that like gives back. I don't, of course, post like my depressive states where I lock myself in the room for like 3 or 4 days and I have to text everybody 4 days after and be like, hey, sorry, like didn't feel like talking to anyone.
Why not?
I feel like that's just not something that I'm like, I think that I'm processing in the moment. So it's not something that I want to necessarily put out. I feel like I'm someone that I process things very quickly now because I mean I was in therapy for so long, coping mechanisms, all of those things. I put my mental health intake first and take it very seriously. But I tend to talk about the things that have happened to me versus the things that are happening to me. So past experiences, like I don't mind talking about because I've already worked through them, but things that are currently happening, like I don't like asking for help, even though that's totally okay and something that I constantly try to, like, I say to other people because I also feel like I'm saying it to myself, but like I don't like asking for help. It makes me uncomfortable because I've always done it myself.
Well, I used to not like to ask for help, but I started studying my own clients. So most of my clients were already business owners or entrepreneurs. And I started studying like the things that they do, the people they have around them. One, they have the same people around them in their inner circle, the same team, very loyal team. Two, that's the key word. They have a team. They have people that they can delegate things to. They have, people that started with them without asking for anything, and they've helped them build something. And now that they have something built, they're getting paid. So
are you talking from the perspective of somebody that does what we do though, or just in business in general?
Both.
Okay.
Both. Because to my point, I don't trust anyone.
Yeah.
And especially to do what I do. They're not going to edit something the way I want it. They're not going to color something the way I want it. They're not going to post it the way I want it. They're not going to, send the message out the exact way I want it to be sent.
Yeah.
And I had to stop thinking that way because in order for you to grow, you have to have people to take on things, to help you with the weight of things. Because at the beginning, you're filled with motivation, inspiration. You're filled with these goals. Like, I'm doing this. Like, you're in the moment. I'm doing this shit.
Yeah.
But here's what happens. You find that success and you run with it, and you're growing and growing and growing, and your success turns into this huge weight. And what you have to understand at that point is, okay, I need people to help me carry this weight. Then I started reading about a lot of other successful entrepreneurs, and the one thing that they have in common is they all pretty much say that I had to find a way to duplicate myself. Like,
I've heard that so many times.
I'm like, how can somebody, you can't duplicate me. That's very arrogant to say. So you're never going to find somebody to duplicate you, but you are going to find people that understand what you want and what you need, and that can help you lift that way.
However, I do think that there are like minimal tasks that are like easy for other people. Like
what?
So for instance, like I need help putting clips into sequence, right? Like loading them up, rendering them, all of that. That's really mindless and kind of easy. And if I tell them how I want it, like I want the landscapes, first, and then I want the portrait second, kind of go in and do it this way, I feel like it would be really easy as long as I teach them the method and have like a template for them to follow, right? I feel like that's simple tasks that I could duplicate easily. And then through teaching them small things, then them become similar to like what I would want.
Correct.
But of course, in the bigger picture of like editing and, the right millisecond of the sound where I want it on the video is never that is like such a like small little thing that I feel like people in this industry will understand. Like,
right. And I 110% agree with you. And what I did was I found ways to delegate the things that were not exactly mindless, but things that I could teach other people.
Right.
That would buy me more time during the day. For example, emails and DMs. You wouldn't think anything of it. That's easy, blah, blah, blah. But when you're constantly getting emails and DMs and calls and text messages, guess what? That's 2 to 4 hours of your day that you're taking out throughout the day.
Yeah.
And by just delegating that alone, it was like a breath of fresh air. Editing videos, like you just said,
For me, it's picking the photos. I'm like,
you're right.
So I take, like, for stop motion, I just took on Saturday 3,840 photos. I have to use every single one of those photos for the stop motion film. But so I have to edit every single photo. By the time I've gone through and edited every single photo, I don't want to go back through all 3,000, almost 4,000 photos and pick my favorites. I want to send it to someone else and be like, fresh eyes, pick your favorites. And like, if I see that one of that I knew that I liked wasn't in there, I would go back and find that single photo.
So why don't you have somebody do that? And here's what you do. Before it goes out, you have to approve it.
Right, of course.
So I think it's going to save you time. It's going to save you a lot of time here, because I see and feel exactly what you're going through, because I was there and I was like, no, nobody's going to be able to do it like me. Nobody's going to be able to talk to the clients like me, blah, blah, blah. And then I
literally begged my mom to do it. I'm like, Mom, please. Like,
and I started to realize, like, if I keep thinking this way, I'm going to be stuck, and burnout is going to kill me and overtake me, and I'm not going to grow. So yeah, I get that, but I also think you can start with just the small things, like,
right.
Like how many people are texting you and calling you?
Honestly, not that many. So basically, I feel like we're different in the way that, well, now you have more commercial clients. So
right. So it's
yeah,
I'm not
minimized.
Getting, right.
For me, like, I have my clients, and then I have clients that pay me per project. So like, I have artists that I work with on like music videos and promotional shoots. And then I have, artists that I work with monthly, where I handle certain things for them monthly.
So your schedule's constantly changing, probably.
It's honestly fairly consistent, I would say. Like,
oh, cool.
I have meeting days that I have set up, and then for the nonprofit, I have meetings, and I know that I have to do this on social media for, on these days. Like, I have calendars preset. So everything's pretty minimal in the sense that I'm not getting a lot. Like, you were asking me earlier, like, client-wise, like, I don't work with a lot of, like, I'm not doing maternity shoots or like engagements. I mean, I wouldn't be opposed to it. So if anybody wants to hire me for it, please do. But
I don't. I just recently decided to not fully commit to weddings anymore for so many reasons. That's a completely different.
Weddings I've done a couple, and they're really strenuous because you're like, you have to get the shot.
Oh, yeah.
Like, it's mandatory.
Not only that, but, like, there's going to be clients that if you don't fulfill every single expectation, you didn't do a good job.
Right.
So, like, it can get very stressful. So I started to just do particular clients. And what do I mean by that? I mean, my price got higher, and I was only doing like destinational weddings, or, just doing my homework on the client and kind of like interviewing them before I even accepted a payment or signed a contract. But that's the thing with weddings, man. Like you're expected to deliver so much. And
very quickly. I mean, with music, you have to have things done quickly for sure. Like, after shooting a concert, they want at least 1 to 2 photos the very next day.
48 hours.
Yeah.
Or less.
And then the rest of them have to be done within the week,
Mm-hmm.
But with weddings, it's also like they want a video clip and, some photos for them to post throughout their honeymoon. And
that's why I stopped Nightlife.
Yeah.
For amongst other reasons. Nightlife, so here's Nightlife. They want to pay you extraordinarily less.
Oh my God.
To make sure you give them the same quality as somebody who pays your actual rate. And they want it, within 1 to 3 days. So, that I can, it's just not realistic.
I have never and will never be in Nightlife.
I don't recommend it.
I don't. Well, one, that's just not my lifestyle. I don't drink. I don't go out. Like, that's just not my vibe. I do it occasionally for like celebrations, but I just cannot be around a bunch of drunk white girls. Like, I just can't do it. Like, well, drunk people in general, but like, it's just like, that's not my vibe. And the mandatory photos, like, they want their Instagram pictures the very next day.
Oh, for sure. What's the ultimate goal with what you're doing? If you could sum it up.
To be happy. But also I think I really.
Are you happy right now?
Sometimes.
Sometimes?
Yeah.
That's a very honest and fair answer.
I can't lie. My family calls me the truther. Like, I don't lie.
Sounds like a superhero name.
Yeah, I mean, come on now. I think ultimately I have a dream. I've been working on a mental health educational program, and I really want to open my own nonprofit that's centered around creatives and the creative space, helping people find coping mechanisms through creativity and through the arts. So that's something that I want. I think that I want to open one in every major city. That's, a huge goal. I also want to work with more touring artists. Like, I really want to be more heavily involved in music, especially in like the higher up like music industry. And I want to, travel more and exist.
For sure, that's always
I gotta get the fuck out of Charlotte.
I honestly think you would excel somewhere else. For what I do, Charlotte is.
I'm trying to move to Italy and have a
Spain,
lemon tree in my backyard.
The thing is over there, though, I was just talking to my friend today. Like Spain, Italy, they're very minimalist. They're not like go getters, so they're very happy with what they have. Yeah. So if that's your vibe. For sure.
I mean, that's like the end goal.
I like buying sneakers. I like riding motorcycles. Before we close out, I like to ask all of my guests a particular question. Mm-hmm. If there was one piece of advice that you could give an individual that wants to follow their own dreams or pursue their own goals or do their own thing, what would that particular piece of advice be? And I know there's a ton, but if there was just one that you could give something.
So it's a two-parter, but don't care what other people think.
Beautiful.
And trust yourself. Believe in yourself.
Beautiful. Well, we definitely have to do another one.
Mm-hmm. Part 2 coming soon.
Yeah. Well, I can't make them too long because right now we're trying to keep them at 45 minutes.
Totally.
Or under an hour at least. But I feel like with the individuals that I'm going to have on here, that's probably going to be more. So, but I definitely have to have you back on. Mm-hmm. Thank you so much for coming. I know you're busy and you have a lot going on, but I really wanted people to hear from you.
Well, thank you for having me. Honestly, it's been a pleasure kicking off my first real podcast.
Is this your first podcast?
Well, I had done one that never got put out, and then
shame.
I did one last week, but it was more of like a video, like just a video shoot with another individual in Charlotte, another creative. You might know him.
Who's that?
Kenny.
Kenny. Which Kenny?
I have to show you after.
Yeah,
this.
show me. Well, yeah, this is turned into like a real passion of mine, and almost everyone on here has told me, this can go somewhere. So I'm gonna keep doing it. I'm gonna keep pursuing it. I'm definitely gonna have you back on.
I'm really proud of you.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you. I've had a really rough week and rough day, so this has been really cool.
Awesome. I'm glad that we could end it on a high note.
Thank you everyone that has listened in, especially to here. It's been another episode of the HisViewZ podcast, and we will see you guys on the next one. Peace.
Peace.